Let's do it.
Okay. Today, we're going to start with Colton Roberts for the first question of round one.
Okay. My question is, since the Schmoedown follows wrestling or wrestling storylines, will you guys, if Sam wins on Friday, will you guys pull a Becky Lynch and assume his title reign never ended and begin it again now with the same reign?
No, we won't. That's a great question, but no, we would. If Sam, and that's a big if Sam beats Marisol, it would be a second title reign, and he wouldn't have like, this wouldn't count as like a third defense, or his next one would be a third defense. No, he would have to do it in the same way. He chose to leave. Becky Lynch did not. Becky Lynch left for very different reasons. It's a great question.
Great. Moving on, our next question is going to be from Dagan from Let's Get Ready.
Cool. Hey, Christian, thanks again so much for helping put over my show, Any Given Schmoedown, and everything recently. We really appreciate your support.
Yeah.
Wanted to ask about this tweet you put out earlier about the new player ranking system. How does this system differentiate from ranking systems in the past, given the new format and everything? And can we expect players like maybe Barbarian or the loser of this Chance versus Bibbs match coming up to sort of slip down in the rankings, and how long it would take them to get back to the number one contender path?
So the answer to that question is it doesn't really change at all, except the fact that now you see the visuals as opposed to just a bunch of names and numbers on the website, right? Like the idea was to make sure that it was pretty cut and clear, that you say, okay, that's a picture of the champion, and those are the faces of the people that are fighting to climb the ladder. So the way it works is no different than when the last 2 years. It's the same way. It's like you win, and depending on how, like I saw some silly stupid comment about how Janine didn't deserve to be there, and Janine is a semi-finalist and beat Dan Murrell and beat Mike Kalinowski and took Marisol McKee to sudden death, and she lost to Ethan recently, but she fought herself away from a TKO, and she got herself she fought like the warrior that she is. So she is, you remember, she was 3 and she dropped to like whatever it is, 7 or 8 now. So there's always a way to jump up significantly from a win, because there's a few matches that are coming up that you could see a dramatic shift in. Someone that's here today might not be there tomorrow, and vice versa.
Great. Next question is going to be from Galaxy Geeks.
Christian?
Hey, man.
So my question is, with how Titans is set up, how pay-per-views are set up, and how you have to market the pay-per-view, could we still see within pay-per-views a triple threat randomly appear within the match? Not saying that could happen, but could we see that happen?
Is it possible, you're asking?
Yes.
Yes, it's certainly possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Next question will be from Jake Berlin.
Hey, real quick, just on the pay-per-view for Friday, how much are you loving the fact that the first title match of the year is an old school versus new school with Sam and Marisol, digital age versus original, 2 different styles of play? That's got to be something you've been thinking about.
Yeah, of course. I would say more so new school versus old school, because even though Marisol, I think she probably, I think she made her name in digital, so that's not necessarily, but she really popped as a superstar at the Cantina, in Brooklyn at the Spectacular. So she's no stranger to in-person studio events at this point. You know, she's kind of made her name by able to do that. But I certainly understand the point you're making with it is a new school versus old school, and it is. I mean, Sam Levine has managed in the digital age, but he doesn't. Yeah. But that's not how he competed. He's all he knows is big events and big defenses and things of that nature, and he clearly showed that when he showed up against the Barbarian and did what he did. So now he's got and he went on. And his last match before the Barbarian was title matches. You know, he hadn't played a 3-round singles match in I don't even know how long it was. If his last 3-round singles match, I think, was in the finals against JTE, or no, that was 5 rounds also. So it was whoever it was, Mike Kalinowski. I can't remember who he played, but it was like that was a long time ago. So the fact that now he showed that he could do the 3 round, now he comes back to do the 5 and to go up against Marisol McKee. Yeah, certainly it is that it's either going to be one of those things where Marisol is going to really take the torch here, or Sam's going to pick it back up and blend into, you know, this new kind of school player that we have now.
Next question will be from Megan from Call to Action.
Hi, thanks for having me on. So with kind of looking at the title pictures that we've been seeing over the past couple seasons, is there any thought or consideration into developing something like the light heavyweight or the hardcore type of belt for some of those mid to upper tier competitors that haven't been able to be in the title picture because of the number of main titles that we've been having throughout the seasons?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I've definitely been asked that before inside of, like, you know, it's like the mid-tier championship, right? It's just, I think it's something I really want to talk to the players about in general, because and maybe it's just my own thing, but it just seems like a constellation prize personally. You know, it's like, because it's different when there's cruiserweights and lightweights and things, because they're just not big enough to hang with the bigger talent, right? So I just think that there's ways to look at someone like the Kid. When the Kid came in and lost to Oyama in that first match, you're like, okay, he's okay. And then he started to develop more and more and more as a player. And you're like, I don't know if he can hang. And now you certainly know that he can hang. You know, there's people like, look at Chance Ellison. Chance Ellison is still, he's only 24 or 25 years old or whatever he is. And he has this vast knowledge, and he's not a mid-tier guy. He's a guy that could be champion, but if he goes and plays for a mid-tier championship, it's like, is that a constellation prize because he can't get it done? I understand the sentiment behind it, but I just don't know how it's overall perceived. I think the Intercontinental belt in WWE was created for that, especially it was created a long time ago, but like during the Hulk Hogan golden era, it was given to the guys like Randy Savage and Steamboat, because they weren't given the title away to anybody except Hulk Hogan during that 4-year stretch. So that was a place for Macho Man to shine and the Honky Tonk Man to shine and all that stuff. That's kind of what the inner geekdom is for us. You know, if you can't hang in the singles division, or I shouldn't say can't get to that spot, and maybe you have a very good knowledge in geek. I mean, look at Mike Kalinowski. Mike Kalinowski is a very good singles player, but he's a great inner geekdom player. So I'm not saying no. I just don't know how it would be perceived. No.
Thank you.
Thanks, Max.
Great. Next question will be from Tim from The Insight.
Hello, Christian.
Hey, Tim.
So just kind of wondering from your perspective, you've seen that, well, with Marisol McKee now coming in as the next singles champion to attempt to defend 3 consecutive times, you've seen already that you've seen championship belts in this run defended already 3 times or more, with obviously the Patriots, Alex Damon, and of course recently Mike Kalinowski. We haven't seen it yet in what many would consider the premier division, that is the singles division. And why do you think it's difficult to defend 3 times consecutively in a singles division and in all the other divisions, from, you know, being behind the desk and from, you know, playing for a short time?
That's a great question. I think that it just depends on its streak, right? And it's also the time that the division, I think all the divisions are hard. And I just think that the singles division has been the hardest, because that's been the consistent amount of top tier hard competition since day one. That's where the best always played. And you look at, and nothing against Alex Damon's run, obviously. Alex Damon had to beat some really good players in his 4 defenses, but he beat everyone that was in the division at the time, you know, like Laura Kelly and Ken and Joseph Scrimshaw, and then Ace, which was, I guess, one of the new ones. But like he had to, that's not easy to do. It's still pretty hard. And the same thing with Mike. Like, before Mike, no one had defended that title twice. The Inner Geekdom was the one that was that was the hardest one before. But now that Mike's done it 3 times, everyone says, well, why is singles the hardest? Because, well, it's actually IG before Mike was the hardest. No one had ever done it. Chandru was trying to do it. And I mean, Mara Kanopik, as great as she is, she hadn't defended the title again. Mike's now done it 3 times. So that just shows the kind of player that Mike is. As far as singles go, there's just so much top tier talent out there. And I think that the speed round and I think this was the other day, I was listening to Jake's show, and they were talking about how it's just, I never understood how anybody could argue against speed round versus fast money. I just don't understand it. It's just it's so much more exciting, and it also allows, it's that skill. And then people are, well, it's not about knowledge. Of course it's about knowledge. Who gets the information first, and who can, and then it is about reflexes. Get the information first, and then go to buzz in to make sure that you got it. And I think that's what the equalizer is inside of the title matches. And so Marisol McKee is pretty damn good on that speed round. And I know that Sam is also, he made his career on it. So it's going to be a barn burner. I'm not sure. Marisol could certainly do it. I wouldn't bet against her. And if she does it, then maybe people are going to start saying, let's say she gets to 5 defenses, then they're going to say, why is it so easy to defend in the singles division? So you never know. It's just it's a product of the time.
Okay, we have completed our first round of questions. Christian, do you want to go to the second round?
Yes, please. Back to
Hold on
Colton.
1 second.
Oh, okay. I see. So I guess I can.
Hi,
Actually,
Sam. Thank you for joining us today.
There he
hello,
is.
everyone.
so ladies and
Hey,
gentlemen, so before we start our second round of questions, we have the #1 contender and challenger for the world title, former Movie Trivia Schmoedown singles and teams champion, coming back after 4 years off. Sam, I was trying to think, before your last 3-rounder, before Barbarian, was in the Ultimate Schmoedown. Who was that against? Was it against Roca?
In singles,
Singles,
it
singles.
was against
Roca?
whoever I had to beat right before JTE, because JTE and I played
Right,
each other
it's
in the
5.
finals.
I thought it was Roca.
I think it was Rachel, actually.
Was it Rachel? See,
Yeah, I
it's
think
either
I had
Rachel
to
or
beat
Roca.
Rachel to go to play JTE in
Was
the
it?
finals.
Okay, because
Because it was Bibbs, then Roca,
okay, then Rachel.
then JTE, then you.
Listen to that lineup, though. I mean, that's what people don't understand. Like back then, like, okay, he did what he had to do, but like now, after they've proven the legends that they are, all of those people that you named, they're all legends. And yeah, what a run that was. So all right, so you guys have been, I've done these press conferences. You've asked me enough questions. I mean, if you want to ask me another one, of course I'll answer them. But you got Sam here, so you want to,
Yep.
Susan, should we start with Sam?
We'll start with round 2. Colton Roberts, you get the first question.
Okay. Since I'm not 100% sure how long Oyama has to cash in his free for all, Sam, are you concerned with that coming Friday night?
I am entirely focused on the task at hand. It would be getting way too far ahead of myself to think that I should be thinking about Oyama right now. I am solely focused on Marisol McKee.
Great. Our next question comes from Dagan.
Hey, Sam, good to see you. Good to see you back in the league. It's been very exciting. I was going to ask about this new rule change this season. The betting round, you can actually get a mulligan and spin again. So how do you think that could potentially come into play in this big title match?
I think it's one of the better rule changes in recent memory, because prior to that, if we're talking about a championship match, unless spinners and opponents or now wildcard slices are on the wheel, one person spinning at once without getting a redo doesn't really matter who spins. So it wasn't necessarily advantageous to you to be the one spinning in the betting round, and now it is. So I'm a big fan of that. And look, if I get to spin first, I'd love knowing that I have the choice of taking a mulligan and doing it again. And if my opponent does, obviously I'll be sad if it lands on something I liked the first time, and then my opponent decides to spin away. But them's the breaks. That's why it makes having the lead going into the betting round that much more important.
Great. Next question will be from Galaxy Geeks.
Hey, Sam. So my question is, with being on so many list of the GOATs for so many before this season, what was your thoughts going into the season, where if you came in losing, you could end up looking a lot worse in a lot of people's eyes? What was your thoughts coming in?
That's for sure. Basically it came down to me realizing I am perfectly fine with what I did years ago in the Schmoedown. And my hope was that no matter what happens with me on this run, whether it be successful, whether I flame out right away, that portion of my Schmoedown career, no one could really touch. And it spoke for itself. And I definitely, thought like, look, I could go in there, I could play the barbarian. It could not go my way. It could be real bad. And if that were the case, then at least I would say, all right, well, I've got the rest of the season to try to build some momentum and get back to the player I used to be. I got to get my sea legs back. And obviously I'm very happy with the way I played against Barbarian. But yeah, there is a degree where every time I go out there and play, I'm a little bit thinking of, that legacy, but that's not really how I'm trying to approach it. I'm playing each match as one match and nothing else. And that's, I think the only way I'll be okay with myself is not getting too, thinking too big of a picture in my own head.
Great. Next question will be from Jake Berlin.
Hey, Sam, thanks for joining us. You've played some really, really great players in the past former seasons when you were playing a couple years ago. Is the approach to Marisol similar from what you've played in the past, or is it a little bit different now that you have the managing experience as well? You've seen players, how they kind of adjust or maybe are preparing for a match. Are you taking any of that with you into Marisol?
Very much. Yeah, no, I mean, my own personal way of preparing, and I watch every single movie that's ever been made twice. It sounds time consuming, but I watch everything on 1.5 speed. So it takes like 25 minutes. That part hasn't changed. The strategy going in, thinking about my opponent, thinking about their strengths, their weaknesses. Some of them have no weaknesses, as Marisol McKee clearly does not. And it's just sort of figuring out, what slices I'm hoping to have on the wheel, what slices I'd love to see on the wheel, what slices I'm hoping are not on the wheel, kind of thing. But you can only hope so much. And then basically with someone as strong as a player as she is, there's not that much for me to do in terms of counter strategy. It really comes down to me being confident that I'm stepping into the ring, able to play my best game.
Great. Thank you. The next question is from Megan from Call to Action.
Thanks for stopping by, Sam. Now that you've gotten past Barbarian, is your motivation different or renewed coming into this match against Marisol, given the fact that you've gotten over that initial hump of coming back into the studio after 4 years and getting that victory?
Yeah, my goal now is to win this match. Actually, that's not true. My goal, as it was before playing the match against Barbarian, is not to embarrass myself. And that's the real truth. Is I don't want to say my hopes are not high, but like I'm not at all confused about how good a player Marisol McKee is. So my expectations are very realistic. I hope to have a competitive match. I hope to not embarrass myself. And if I can get a little lucky, who knows? But my goal is, as I play one match at a time. And as long as I don't miss questions that I knew the answer to, as long as I don't check down on questions that I'm pretty sure I already knew the answer to, those are the things that are going to bother me. And so as long as I can avoid stuff like that, whatever the outcome is what the outcome is. And as long as, again, I keep thinking of the movie Rocky Balboa. I'm not trying to reclaim my old glory. I'm not trying to win a belt and defend it X times. I'm trying to just prove to myself that I can still fight and compete at the level that I used to. That's all.
You're still stuff in the basement.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Great. Next question will be from Tim from The Insight.
Hello, Sam. So you know that you are back in the singles division because when you said in your retirement that there's not much to do, and now there's more to do, especially in the division with these new challenges. And I'm curious, what about for teams? Do you have any plans on returning back to play in the teams division? And if there is a certain teammate that you want to join with?
Well, as I've said many, many times, Drew McWeeny, the Godfather, is my ride or die. And right now, for me, I am solely focused on the task at hand, which is hopefully winning a belt, or at the very least, staying near the level of the top, so that if it doesn't go my way this time, I can hopefully again in the near future play for a belt. So I'm entirely thinking about that right now. I'm not really thinking about teams. Drew and I have not talked about it. I'm not sure what his plans are, to be quite honest with you. I do know that, he's a very busy guy. He's got his own stuff going on. He's got his own feelings about the Schmoedown, but I certainly I'm not going to speak for him. But I'll just say, if I were ever going to play as a team, there is no one in the world I would want by my side more than the great Drew McWeeny.
And I will say, jumping in on that, I also remember last time we had Sam playing in 2 divisions, he stepped down and retired. I don't want him to get burnt out. So let's keep him in on 1 division and see how he does in this one.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
Perfect. So we went through this round. So we'll do one more round of questions. Sam, if you can stay with us for that.
Yep, no problem.
Perfect. So next round, Colton Roberts, you have the first question.
I know it's been discussed before that if Guy hadn't beat Merle, that it would have been Sam Levine versus Dan Merle. Sam, now that you're back, would you want to play Dan again?
I'll say this. I had actually already stepped down and retired. I'd made that decision before Dan announced he was coming back. So a lot of people like to do a little bit of revisionist history. Oh, Sam only stopped playing because Dan was coming back. My retirement happened before Dan said he was coming back. So I was not thinking about that 4 years ago when I made that decision. So Dan and I played once. It didn't go my way. And sort of the way I've always seen it was, if I ever came back to play, and if Dan and I ever played each other again, whether it was for a belt or not, at that point, realistically, for me to claim victory over him, I'd actually have to win 2 matches. Because if I somehow play Dan and then win that one, everyone's going to say, well, Sam won one and Dan won one. We need a rubber match.
I would be saying,
if I play him
that.
and lose, conversation's over. So look, I don't control the matches. I don't control the matchups. But should I play Dan Merle again, obviously I would hope for a different outcome than last time. But you can't say the word GOAT when it comes to the Schmoedown and not automatically think of Dan. So that is, that's something I haven't forgotten. He's pretty much the best there is. So I'm hoping we can steer clear of each other for at least a little while.
Next question from Dagan.
Yeah, so Sam, you declared that you're sort of going to be a rogue player. You're not going to have a manager, but we did see the great Rachel Cushing come out after your victory over Barbarian. So how influential has she been in sort of helping you get back in the ring? And yeah, just congrats to both of you.
Oh, thank you very much. She has been the greatest off-screen partner, both in real life and when it comes to the Schmoedown. I mean, we are movie people. So several times a day throughout the day, just peppered into our regular conversations, we will ask things like, hey, who directed this? Or who plays the bad guy in this? Just to keep each other fresh. It's what we do. It's how we communicate. And that's just for funsies. So when it comes down to actually buckling down and studying, there's no one better. And I'm incredibly grateful to her for the help and support that she has given me. But in terms of managing, I think I said in my match against Barbarian, nobody manages me better than me. Like that was the thing that I felt I brought to the managing world when I was managing the Usual Suspects, was of the, since at that time, the challenging something relied much more heavily on your manager than the player. I felt like I was probably in the best position to challenge things that may have been accidentally incorrect or ambiguous, more so than other managers might have. So I feel like I haven't lost that skill set.
Next question from Luke, with Luke from Gal.
So Sam, since you are an incredible actor and have such amazing acting chops, and we see you coming back, but basically just playing yourself, do you see in the future leaning towards a persona or leaning towards a heel persona, or because you have an edge to you, but we're not really seeing you be able to use your acting chops yet?
I mean, I appreciate that, but I'm 100% acting when I'm out there. I'll bet you didn't even know that in real life I have a Spanish accent. So, yeah, no, that's, look, man, the lights go on. I don't know. Whatever you think you know about me, I'm in the moment. I'm the inglorious one when the lights go.
I will say that I think that's a testament to how good Sam is. And Sam certainly has performed many times over, and whether it's in certain scenes that we've shot, and whether it is stuff that we have done in the Barbarian episode, whether it's the stuff he's a lackadaisical commissioner. I will say this off the record here: Sam is not a lazy person, and yet he certainly seemed like a lazy layabout as a commissioner. So Sam is acting more than you know, and his comedic chops are off the charts. So yeah, just because he's playing himself, it doesn't mean that he's not doing some character stuff.
Think of me as John Malkovich and being John Malkovich.
That's right.
Next question from Jake Berlin.
Yeah, so speaking of the usual suspects, one of your former players, Mr. Ethan Irwin, decided to take a big turn this season. What do you think about his now heel persona joining Roxy and the possibility of playing him in the future?
I'll tell you this. I didn't think he was going to be so angry when we dissolved the suspects. That for being as calm a guy as he is during matches, that one surprised even me. So I'm terrified of him. I was already terrified of him. Now I'm extra terrified of him. But I think with Roxy in his corner, that is a perfect fit. Yeah, look, I mean, my goal, I don't say goal, one of my hopes for coming back as a player was that I wouldn't have to at least immediately play any of the former members of the usual suspects. And so far in my first two matches, the one that I've already played, the one I'm about to play, no former members of the usual suspects. So I'm 2 for 2 so far on that. But beyond what happens in this match with Marisol, I have no guarantees. So I'll just say, if Mr. Ethan Irwin and I were to go head to head in the ring, he's got a bit of fire and attitude behind him that I'm very scared of.
Great. Next question, Megan from Call to Action.
So given your past proficiency and what you've had with movie release dates, Marisol McKee has also shown and said to have some proficiency there as well. Do you see that playing into your title match coming up on Friday?
I mean, it cannot be understated. I can't find any weaknesses in her game. And so for me, I wanted to focus on my strengths. So I wouldn't be surprised to see movie release dates on the wheel. If I didn't put it there, maybe she'll put it there. As you so pointed out, she is also pretty proficient in it. But I mean, the fact of the matter is she knows movie trivia. So I'm not going to put myself in a position to not potentially hit something that I feel like I'm good at. So it's more about playing the best offensive game that I think I can, rather than worry about playing a defensive game if there's overlap in the Venn diagram of me and Marisol.
Great. And the last question for this round is going to be Tim with the insight.
Okay, so this question is for Christian Harloff. So we heard that you're on your time on Spin from the Wheel that you've talked about how you'll be running Star Wars matches, especially with the non-title ones being digital and for just patrons only. And there's been some notable frustration seeing on social media, and especially including the Schmoedown subreddit. And I'm just curious. Will we know eventually the concrete plan for how the Star Wars division will be run this season, and how close are we to it?
Well, will we know? I mean, I hope so. That's the thing. As far as frustration goes on Reddit, I never heard those two words together ever. But as far as it goes to the Star Wars division, first of all, what you said, Tim, in no way, no one confirmed that Star Wars was on Patreon. That didn't happen. What I said was that it's been floated around and we've talked about it, and I actually made it very clear inside. It was actually posted incorrectly on Reddit. I saw that, and I wish that the whole interview would have been posted on Reddit if they're just going to, instead of taking like the little snippets there, because I actually had a message to all of Facebook, Reddit, Instagram, everybody, and I wish that they would have posted that, but they kind of pick and choose over there sometimes what they want to post. The Star Wars stuff itself, if they're frustrated with it, it's too bad, because it could be the only way that we possibly have it. We don't have a way to do. If you guys come up with an idea of how you think we can do Star Wars, then let me know. But you have to realize this: we have 3 flights per shoot, 3. So if it's a matter of getting Marisol McKee out to play against Sam Levine, and then other matches that I have to get in the singles and teams, Star Wars has 7 to 12 people that are all out of town. So it is impossible to do it. And the other thing is that there needs to be more stuff on Patreon in general that we want to be able to offer. So in order to do that, the idea would be to have those matches, let the contenders play, and then the title match itself would then be part of Titans. That's the idea. And nothing is finalized. It's just that they wanted to float out. And honestly, it's what I said on Spin from the Reel. I wanted to float it out there. And if there's frustration and people don't want to join, then, then unfortunately we just might not have much of a Star Wars division that year. And that's totally fine. But we have to do money, as we were all told as kids, money don't grow on trees. And we have to figure out a way to make it all work.
Thank you.
Great. And then for the next round of questioning, we have one more special guest. Joining now, Lady Justice herself, Marisol McKee.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have the Justice herself, the Movie Trivia Schmoedown champion of the world, Lady Justice Marisol McKee. She is here, and Sam is also here with this round. Obviously, Marisol and Sam. Before we get into it with the questions, if I may, Sam, would you like to say anything to the champion before this round starts?
I can't say these words enough, champ. It is an honor to play against you. What you have done in this league since you started playing is the thing of legend. And I consider myself extremely lucky that things went my way against the Barbarians so that we can match heads, and please don't hurt me. It's not too bad.
And Marisol, anything to Sam?
I've now that I'm here kind of at the top, I only want to play the best, and I can't ask for more of the best than you, Sam, honestly. So I'm at the top and I just want to play the best, and I'm ready for the best. So I'm just excited to see where this goes.
All right, Susan.
Great. So we'll be taking our first question for Marisol from Colton.
Hey, Marisol. I asked Sam a little while earlier about if Paul Oyama were to cash in his free-for-all on Friday, does that concern you with your match on Friday?
Honestly, no. I've had my eye on Oyama ever since obviously ever since he won the free-for-all, but especially since I won the belt. I had a sneaking suspicion. I've always had one eye over my shoulder. I'll be ready for him if he decides to throw that curveball at me. I'll be ready.
Great. Next question from Dagan from Let's Get Ready.
Hey, Lady Justice, good to see you again.
You too, Dagan.
We saw what was possibly the greatest Schmoedown scene of all time this past week. A lot of emotions going on with corruption right now. So how is that affecting you going into this big title match? And how will the results of this event, because it's a big night for corruption, chance in there as well, How will that affect your path with corruption moving forward?
It's a lot. A lot has happened. I'm still wearing a lot of that. It's wearing heavy. I'm not gonna say I'm in a completely happy place. I'm still processing a lot of that. And losing the coyote was pretty rough. I'm not gonna lie. But it's also helped me, oddly in a way, kind of hyper focus and separate what's going on and focus that much more on what I need to do, and the task at hand. And in a direct way, it's actually kind of fueling my enthusiasm, my passion, and my drive and my focus going and representing and keeping corruption that much stronger in a time of such doubt. So I've been channeling that energy into this, for everything that's going to happen. And I know Chance is feeling the same way going into Friday. So that's where my head's at for this.
Next question, Luke from Galaxy Geeks.
There, so my question is, in the past, you mentioned that you weren't the biggest acting person, but we saw in this past week how incredible of an actor you really are. And I wanted to ask, what was it that really brings that out of you? Like what headspace makes you able to really act the way you have been recently?
Caring about what you're doing, and I care about the Schmoedown more than, which a lot of us do, but passion, number one, first and foremost for everything. I love this world. I love all these people that I've met. Talking to all of you guys makes it even better. And I believe in it. I believe in the Schmoedown. I believe in what Christian's created. And that makes everything, all the inspiration, all the motivation, all of that just flows. It actually, even if something like I've never done, like taken an acting class or been in any kind of like production like that, when you have the right motivation and the right inspiration, the right things, fueling you, giving you a reason to do what you're doing, you'd be shocked the places that you could pull things, and some things just feel so right. I'm not saying sign me up, don't sign me up for anything after that. I'm not about to go try to be in a TV show or something like that. But this specifically, it just feels so right, and you feel the right instincts pulling you in certain directions when you're around people, when you're around your people and people who love and care about what they're doing, surrounded by things that you love, like movies, and all that made everything kind of a no-brainer when I'm stepping into doing new things, like entering now into the studio and doing cutscenes with everybody, which I've been dying to do ever since I first joined this league. And it's been a smoother transition than I thought because of all the people involved.
Next question's from Jake Berlin.
Well, first of all, on behalf of Jill, she said that she'll be doing everything she can to make sure Deception returns one day. Because I think she was the most heartbroken out of everybody. But yeah, look, there's obviously a lot of pressure with defending a title in a singles title match, especially in the Schmoedown. But when it is someone up against, Sam Levine, who has a long history in this league, who came back, he had his first match last week. Is there any more added pressure now that it is someone like Sam compared to someone who maybe is just a year or two into this league?
Yes and no, but for different reasons. Like, I'm really excited to play Sam. I'm ready to leave nothing on the table because, as we've seen against his match against Barbarian, he acts like he doesn't know what he's doing, but this is a legend of the game. This man knows exactly what he's doing. Don't let him fool you. He has shown he hasn't missed a beat. He hasn't missed a step at all. He's as lethal as ever. He's proving why he's in those conversations about the great of the game. And I know that once you know you're going to be playing somebody of that caliber, it helps. It takes kind of the pressure off in a weird way, because no matter what, I know I'm going to give my best. That's what I hope to do every time I step out there. That's my aim every time I go out there. And there's kind of a pressure off when you're a player, when you know that that you could just put everything you have into it, and the person opposite you is going to do the same, and there's nothing to hang your head about. when a match like that happens, like whatever the outcome's going to be. If you lose, there's nothing to hang your head about. If you win, it's going to be that much sweeter. It's going to feel that much that sicker when it happens. If I were playing somebody who was kind of fresh and kind of new to it, or kind of like in a situation like it's Spectacular, where I was playing this rookie sensation who was undefeated, who up until that evening hadn't even been defeated in any of the divisions. I feel a little bit more pressure, I guess, in those situations, because nobody wants to lose to the new kid, that kind of situation. But even there, still, I'm able to focus in that situation too, as you saw. I handled my business at Spectacular, and I'm welcoming the situation. I'm not shying away from the pressure at all, and I'm ready to handle my business again on Friday.
Great. Next question from Megan at Call to Action.
Thank you very much. Given, Marisol, now that you have been in 2 live events, you're now entering into a studio title match situation. Have you approached the preparation any different, or can you give a little insight on what you do to calm your nerves or anything entering into those situations?
I feel the biggest hurdle for me was the live events. I had no idea how it was I had no idea how that was gonna go down. And hopefully I didn't fall on my face, figuratively and literally, and did pretty okay for myself. So that once you start putting those kind of firsts behind you, it obviously makes every next step a lot easier. The only thing I was kind of nervous about with studio is a new challenge where we're turning up, we're cranking up. We've got a whole new thing going on with season 9 this season, now being in the studio and getting back to that full dish of Schmoedown, the whole shebang with the entertainment and the cutscenes, not just the trivia and not just the presence, but really throwing in the entertainment aspect, and trying to fill in. My biggest thing is still trying to fill in, which I'm still trying to work on, is getting ready to, now that we're going to be in studio, is trying to fill in those moments in between, with putting forward as much as my character as possible. So that's bringing up a new minor set of new territory for me, I guess, as a competitor that I haven't had to face before, which isn't making me nervous. It's making me excited, because I've been ready to grab each new situation as I've grown in this game by the horns, and I'm about to grab this bull by the horns now.
Great. And the final question for this round is going to be from Tim with the insight.
Hello, Marisol. So outside of Paul Yama possibly cashing in his free-for-all title shot, with the challenge of now facing a more established former champion and recently a former manager who knows the game very, very well, as well as all of its changes, has it added more to the gravity of this matchup for you and for your manager, Shannon Barney, when training to aim for possibly the opportunity to become the first singles champion with 3 consecutive title defenses, especially to start your 3rd season off on that challenge?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot going into Friday. Like I was saying, corruption's kind of, we're kind of thrown for a loop. We're a little frazzled right now. And a win on Friday would go a long way in at least, we've obviously got a lot to talk about off screen, but it would be a good first step in keeping us on track, keeping the faction together. I want to believe that my faction is going to be there for me no matter what, whether I win or lose. And I have that confidence. I still want to talk more with Shannon, but I feel that confidence. And I don't want to let that overshadow what I do. I'm still pretty good about separating myself from the pressure, which is the only way I've really been able to get through these past championship battles that I've had. I broke through a pretty big barrier back in September playing against Ethan, and it's like I said, it's spectacular. Like I'm not done. I'm ready to keep going, and the thought of being right here on the cusp of being able to do something somebody has never done. Defend 3 times is I'm salivating just thinking about it. I'm chomping at the bit, and I'm ready to do that. And it's making me more excited instead of more nervous. It's making me more excited because I have another chance right in front of me to really, 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 really accomplish something special and keep this going. And that's making me feel, that's fueling me up. That's amping me up better than any pregame ritual can.
Great.
Got it.
Okay, that's going to be this round. Sam, you're more than welcome to stay with us for the final round of questions, but if you need to hop, that's totally fine as well.
I'm happy to hang if
Sure.
you guys have questions for me. A nod or just raise a hand saying like, yeah, hang, and we'll. Otherwise, I love Marisol, but she's terrifying to hear talk about what how she's
Planning to
preparing.
do.
And she's getting in my head, guys.
Yeah, if you
So,
guys,
Do you guys have more questions for me? You don't have to. There's no pressure. Oh, you do? All right.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
I'll hang. I'll hang.
all right, okay.
Okay,
I'm just
so we're
going
going
to
to
do
start
this
our
when Marisol talks.
we're going to start our final round of questions, and then after this, we're going to wrap up. So, first question for the final round is going to go to Colton.
Okay, my last question is for Christian. With
Sure.
all these people coming up from the fan leagues, and being in title matches like Marisol or Adam Collins or Chance Ellison or Amaru Moses or Paul Oyama, is there anyone from the fan leagues that you've noticed that spark your interest? And as a person who my show, we talk about the fan leagues every week, so I would be ashamed if I didn't ask about it.
Well, it's great that you did, and I should probably. Do you tag the Schmoedown when you post your episodes?
Not always.
You should, because that's usually how I know about the shows, when they tag the Schmoedown. Because I'd like to hear that stuff, because I'm not as tuned into the fan leagues as I once was, because we have a different system now with the way that FCL worked. And I will say this, just a quick correction: even though Marisol played in the fan league, she didn't come from the fan league. She came from the we found her in Orlando. Found her in the crowd in Orlando, and her and I had a conversation at the bar afterwards, and I had suggested her going to play in the fan leagues afterwards, and then she did. So I already had my eye on Marisol, but that's not to say the Paul Oyamas and Chance Ellisons and people and Adam Collins who have come from. There's been a lot of very successful ones. We've also changed up the criteria and what we look for in a player. All those players that we just mentioned are fit what the Schmoedown player is, but as you've seen when you're watching Titans, we have that advertisement now for auditions. It's open all year round. We're looking for people who not only have the trivia skill. We're looking for people who understand what Marisol just said to you guys before, and she's being very humble. She was fantastic in everything that she's done as far as performance, microphone stuff, all of that. And we're looking for that. We're looking for people who want to be part of her show. So there's other thing I'll correct Marisol on. She is on a TV show right now, and so she is absolutely that's building, and that's what we want people to know. Because Sam will tell you, when we started doing this thing, from even in season 3, there were people that came in that were just like playing trivia, and then they started and if it hadn't been for John Roca playing doing the character stuff too, which a lot of people didn't respond to the players very well, that's what evolved into. Now everybody knows it and everybody accepts it and everybody knows it's part of the show. So I would love to learn more, but I would like those players from the fan leagues to submit audition tapes so I can look at them. I will say this, and I posted it on Twitter the other day. We found somebody the other day that is really something special, and I'm hoping and I will say that I've already offered this person a contract, and this person is now, if this person can really is as good in trivia as we hope, this could be a big star in the making, at least fingers crossed.
All right, thank you.
Great. Next question will be from Dagan from Let's Get Ready.
Yeah, so this one could be for both Sam and Marisol here, but there's a lot of history on the line in this match. Sam's attempt to possibly go 9-0. Sam, I don't know if you know this, but you haven't lost a singles match since July 7th, 2017. So quite the streak there. Marisol, as well, as Tim mentioned, going for 3 title defenses in a row in singles. That hasn't happened before. Also 7-0 last year, the chance to go 8-0 here, which would tie Sam's record recently setting that for that. So share a little bit about the historical significance of this match and what it sort of means to you to be part of it.
Ladies first.
Oh, I'll just be a broken record over here. I mean, it's gonna be a win-win for the fans. That's for damn sure. It's gonna be a win-lose for one of us, but 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 definitely win-win for the fans. And I can separate the two. I am excited because I know I'm gonna be proud of it. I think no matter what happens, I have full confidence in myself, and I have full confidence in Sam not to go easy on me, and he better not, because I don't want him to. Just say it. But yeah, I have a really important opportunity in front of me here, not just for myself, but for everything, to push the game forward in a lot of ways that I will be proud to be a part of that, pushing it forward, and I don't take that lightly. I haven't taken my involvement in any of this lightly at any point, which is why I love it so much. One of the reasons why I love it so much, and I haven't, like I said, I haven't let that distract from just having fun with the game in general, but also just keeping in mind how extra special it'll be to really keep pushing this game forward and carve a little piece of history out and continue to do something that has never been done. So that's motivating me for sure.
For me, the records and things like that are fun to think about and talk about, but it's one match at a time for me. And I will say that defending that singles belt more than twice has proven to be incredibly difficult for a lot of players. And if there is a player in the Schmoedown who I believe is easily capable of breaking that unbroken streak, it's Ms. Marisol McKee, without question. She is as locked in a player as I've ever seen. So I feel like I've said it before, I'm going to need to get very lucky to keep things competitive.
Great. Next question from Luke at Galaxy Geeks.
This is a question for Christian. Have you thought of when there is a Patreon event on Friday releasing an I can't even say it, match for the viewers who are not Patreon members, basically because YouTube likes consistency, basically.
So yeah, listen, as far as material goes and things that we should put up, I want to put some more stuff up during that time, but it goes back to the same answer that I was telling Tim before, Luke, and that's just it's production dollars, right? It's like everything that we do, because that's the other thing, Dan, to answer your question and Tim's previous question, was that these Star Wars players, like, think about it like this: when you have all of the talent that you have and you have a pool of how much you can spend per month on the talent to make sure that everybody's there, and you don't have Star Wars already equated for, right? And then you're going to put it on Patreon. Well, then you got to come up with a new pool somehow. Hence the reason to think about the idea for Patreon, setting goals, trying to say, okay, if we hit X amount of things, we can do that amount of matches. And the same thing goes for something that you're suggesting, right? Like an exhibition match. We still need to figure out who's going to be in that exhibition match, who's going to produce that, who's going to engineer it. Is it going to be an in-studio match? Is it going to, if so, then that means one more day, a couple more hours to shoot in studio. So everything needs to be planned out in time, but that's not to say that there can't be other stuff in its place, whether it's a preview special or it's a conversation of me just turning on my camera and talking to everybody in that spot. Because I don't disagree with you. Last night I actually had that thought that there should probably be something there while we're waiting. But like, look, as I said on Spin from the Reel, if everybody watches the show, if everybody comments while you're watching it live, share it. If you can join Patreon, great. That is the ultimate goal. If you can join Patreon, if you buy merch for your favorite competitors or that type of stuff. But the main thing, share it, like it, comment. If you're watching on it, when you're watching live and you're commenting inside the chat, also comment on the page, and then we'll respond to it. And that's how more people see it when it's out there and the interaction. So we keep getting that, then hopefully we won't have to worry about this kind of problem in season 10.
Next question from Jake Berlin.
This one's for both Sam and Marisol. You both have had a long history with the Schmoedown. Sam obviously playing for a long time, and Marisol being a fan and now playing as well. As far as like this new version of Schmoedown, the reboot, many of us have said that it feels like the version the Schmoedown should have always been from the get-go. Like this is what the ultimate version of the Schmoedown looks like. How do you feel it feels when you walk inside that studio? How do you perceive it on your end, being a player, being a fan, and now actually participating in this new version of the Schmoedown?
Ms. McKee.
Oh, you have
Oh
much
yeah, you want me
more.
to do this? All right.
You have much more to talk about in this regard than I do.
Look, you got to learn to walk before you can run. So while I love what reboot is, we don't get to where we are now without all the previous seasons before it. And that is a testament to Christian Harloff, Mark Ellis, and everyone who makes the show happen. This is not the kind of show that I think in anyone's wildest dreams we could have put together in season 1. Like, this is the evolution of everything that's come before it. And I personally love what season 9 looks like and how it's felt in my one match so far that I've played. But in terms of, remind me what the rest of that question was.
It's just the version of it, how you feel it is, and just the ultimate look of everything as well.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, I love the way it looks. I love the direction we're going. Christian Harloff, the chairman, talked before about how in the early days, really, the only characters we had, were the outlaw and maybe Finstock, and so now everyone is trying as hard as they can in a really fun, creative way to bring their own flavor to the Schmoedown, to their voice, their character, their persona, whatever it is that they feel like is missing from the Schmoedown. Somebody wants to bring that, and I think as fun as the movie trivia is for a lot of us, seeing these characters be part of this world as well is equally as fun for both the people doing it and the people watching. So I think so far, this is the most perfect mixture of movie trivia and great characters that the show's ever put together.
All right, Marisol, anything you want to add?
No, yeah, that's it. That captures it. Like I didn't want to be a part of this just so I could answer questions about movies. I could do that anywhere. I could do that at a bar. Like I came here. I came to this because I wanted to be a part of the Schmoedown and everything that it embodies. So I'm still, Sam's already there. Sam's been there obviously for a long time, but I want to keep trying to I have a constant goal, keep trying to, especially now coming into season 9. Like I said, I'm excited to now become, to try to keep leveling up and keep becoming worthy of what the show is always striving to be about, this full package. And I'm really excited about that. Everything looks so, that the set looks so sexy. I am so excited to be a part of this studio in season 9.
All right. Stop being so humble, by the way.
You are worthy. You
are more than worthy.
You guys, thank you. I appreciate it.
Great. And for the final question of the final round, it'll be Tim from the Insight.
Okay, so this is a question for all three, Marisol McKee, Sam Levine, and Christian Harloff. So knowing that this is the first championship match of the season, and of course, the first championship match in the studio with that beautiful setup, what do you hope to bring into this matchup to make it hopefully one of the most memorable ones of the season at this early stage?
Well, if I could talk for both Sam and Marisol here, I don't have to bring anything in particular for this, directed at me, like, because I have the greatest player right now, and that's Marisol McKee going up against one of the greats in Sam Levine, and that speaks for itself, and it's the build up for it. It's the I mean, there's a lot of times as the show itself will have its elements and will have the story that you're looking for and excited to see. But then there's also times that, you know, there'll be times that the story is going to be the reason you tune in. And then there's going to be times that you're just tuning in to watch an epic match. And I think that's where we land on Friday night. Remember, I'm as much of a fan of this as you guys are. So it's going to be surreal for me to watch Sam Levine playing for the championship again. And it's going to be surreal for me to see Marisol McKee, who's accomplished so much in her young career. She's only been, remember, this is only her 3rd season, and look at how much she's already accomplished, you know? So like, to watch these two go at it, Tim, there's not much that we have to do besides just put on the show, the production that we do. But as far as an overall show, yeah, there'll be scenes and there'll be those things that you guys will get for sure. But the match is going to speak for itself.
Great. Anything else to add, or shall we wrap?
I will let to address Luke from the Galaxy Geeks. You guys give Brandon Hanna too hard of a time, man. Brandon Hanna is a very different type of character. You keep watching what he's going to do. I think that it's a very different situation between like him and Lon. You'll see. Keep an eye on Brandon Hanna.
Oh, I'm excited. I love him to death. That's why we bring him up.
I know.
So much.
I kid with you. I love your show. You guys are very like maybe the nicest people on the planet.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
I
great.
have no,
Well,
more- I have
go
no more
ahead.
questions. That's all.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We really appreciate you joining. Thank you to Marisol. Thank you to Sam for joining. Thank you to Christian as always. And we'll be back in touch about the next press conference. Thanks again, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Susan. Bye.
Good to see all of you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.